The toast, this is the part that plays over in my head. My cousin Clara, the bride, stood. She was a vision in white. She held her champagne flute. The crystal rang as she tapped it. The ballroom went silent. 300 guests, all wealthy, all friends of my Uncle Mark, all looked at her. "I want to make a special toast," Clara said. Her voice was like honey, thick and sweet. "To my cousin Leo." She found me, her eyes locked on mine. I was at table 28, in the back, by the service doors. My mother, Alina, sat next to me. Her hand was a fist on the white tablecloth. "Leo, stand up. Let everyone see you," Clara cooed. I did not want to stand. Every instinct screamed to stay seated, to become small, but my mother nudged me. "Leo, be polite," she whispered. Her voice trembled. So I stood. The suit was new. I bought it special. It was the most expensive thing I owned. It felt cheap. It felt wrong. It felt like a costume. Clara smiled. "Leo is unique. He is our family's entrepreneur." A few people chuckled. They knew the joke. "He runs a fascinating little company, all about, well, dirt." More laughter, louder this time. "When grandfather's will was read," she continued, her smile widening, "we all got the family business. We got the properties. We got the portfolio. And Leo got a box of dirt." The room laughed. It was not a chuckle. It was a full, open, wealthy laugh. The sound of people who had never been dirty a day in their lives. "He brought his suit," Clara said, gesturing to me, "but he also brought his work." She waved her hand in front of her nose, a delicate, practiced gesture, a little earthy. The front table, my Uncle Mark's table, roared. He was laughing the hardest. He slapped the table. I smelled my hands. I had scrubbed them raw. I scrubbed them with industrial soap. I used a bristled brush until my knuckles were red, but the smell was always there. It was part of me. The smell of rich loam, of nitrogen, of potassium, of the specific chemical compounds I used to create the best agricultural soil in the country. It was the smell of my work, my life. To them, it was the smell of a joke, the smell of the poor relation, the single man in the bad suit who smelled like garbage. My mother pulled me down. Her face was white. "Thank you, Clara," I said. My voice was too quiet. No one heard me. She raised her glass. "To Leo, may you find a good woman who doesn't mind the smell." The room drank. They drank to my humiliation. I sat there. I felt the heat on my face. It was not a blush. It was a burn. I looked at my mother. A single tear cut a path through her makeup. That was the moment, the click, the point where something small and hopeful inside me died and something else, something cold and patient, woke up. It started, of course, with the death. My grandfather, Arthur, died 3 weeks before the wedding. He was 85. He was a hard man, a quiet man. He built the family fortune. He built it from nothing. He was a son of immigrants. He knew what dirt felt like under his own nails. The funeral was a performance. My Uncle Mark delivered the eulogy. He spoke about his father's vision and legacy. He meant the finance company. He meant the money. He stood at the podium, his voice full of fake emotion. He cried, but his eyes were dry. Clara, his daughter, wept beautifully into a black lace handkerchief. Her fiancé stood beside her, his hand on her back, looking appropriately solemn. My mother and I sat in the second row. We were family, but we were not the family. My father, Mark's brother, died 15 years ago. He was the kind son, the one who did not care for finance, the one who taught me to love the earth. When he died, we were pushed aside. We became the charity cases, the ones who got a small check at Christmas. I looked at my grandfather in the casket. His face was wax. He looked like a stranger. He and I were not close, not really. He was distant. He would watch me. He taught me to play chess when I was 10. He never let me win, not once. "You do not look at the piece you want to take," he told me, his voice a gravelly whisper. "You look at the empty square. You look at where the board is weak." I did not understand him then. After the eulogy, Uncle Mark approached me. He put a heavy hand on my shoulder. "Leo," he said, his voice booming, "good of you to come." as if I had a choice. "He was my grandfather," I said. "Yes, yes, of course." He squeezed my shoulder, a gesture of power, not comfort. "Clara's wedding is in 3 weeks. You and Alina will be there, of course. We need to show a united front. Family, it's what your grandfather would have wanted." He did not ask, he told me. "We'll be there, Mark," my mother said, stepping in. Her voice was small. "Good, good." He looked at my suit. It was my only other suit, the funeral suit. It was 10 years old. "Try to smarten up a bit for the wedding, eh, son? Clara wants everything perfect." He patted my shoulder again. He did not wait for an answer. He walked away. He was already the king. He was already in charge. I looked back at the casket. I felt nothing. No grief, just a cold, empty space, and a small, burning anger. The will reading was the next day. It was held in a glass tower downtown, Mr. Harrison's office. He was Arthur's lawyer for 50 years. The room smelled of old paper and expensive leather. Mark and his wife sat on one side of the mahogany table. Clara and her fiancé sat with them. They looked like a royal family. My mother and I sat on the other side, on the chairs against the wall, not at the table. Mr. Harrison put on his glasses. He read the document. The language was dry, legal. "To my son Mark," he began. I watched Mark. He leaned forward. His eyes were hungry. "I leave my controlling interest, 51%, of Greystone Capital Partners." Mark closed his eyes. He breathed out, a sound of pure, satisfied greed. His wife squeezed his hand. "I also leave the house in the city, the property on the lake, and the contents therein." Clara smiled. She was already decorating them in her head. Mr. Harrison continued. There were bequests to charities, small sums for old employees. Then he came to my mother. "To my daughter-in-law, Alina, I leave a sum of $100,000 to thank her for her loyalty." My mother gasped. It was more money than she had seen in her life. I felt a small spark of relief for her. She could pay off her debts. She could breathe. Mark scoffed, a tiny, almost silent sound. 100,000. To him, it was a rounding error. Then Mr. Harrison looked at me. He adjusted his glasses. "To my grandson, Leo." The room watched me. Mark, Clara, they looked amused. What would the dirt boy get? "To Leo," the lawyer read, his voice flat, "I leave 2 items. First, the box of fertilized soil kept in my study. Second, the brass key from my desk drawer." Silence. A deep, profound, absolute silence. Clara broke it. She snorted, a sharp, ugly sound. She covered her mouth, but her shoulders shook. Uncle Mark just stared. His face was a mask of confusion. Then slowly it changed to contempt. It was a joke, the old man's last senile joke. "A box of soil?" Mark asked the lawyer. "And a brass key," Mr. Harrison confirmed. He did not look up. He put the papers into a folder. "That concludes the reading." He opened a door. An assistant brought in 2 things, a beautiful hand-carved wooden box. It was heavy, and a single, old-fashioned brass key. It was sitting on a piece of black velvet. I walked to the table, I picked up the key. It was heavy. I put it in my pocket, I lifted the box. It was heavy, at least 20 pounds. "What are you going to do with that, Leo?" Clara asked. Her voice was laced with mock pity. "Plant a window box." "Congratulations, Leo," Uncle Mark said. He stood. He buttoned his jacket. "You truly got what you deserve." He meant it. He truly believed it. My mother and I rode the elevator down in silence. She was crying. "He hated us," she whispered in the parking garage. "He hated your father. He hated us." "No," I said. I held the box. I could smell it, even through the wood. It was complex peat, volcanic ash, and something else, something I had never smelled before. "He was a gardener. This is special." "It's dirt, Leo," she sobbed. "He left his son millions. He left you dirt." I opened the car trunk. I placed the box inside, gently. I closed it. I looked at her. "Let's go home, Mom." In my pocket, the key felt cold and heavy. My company is Terra Prime. I started it 5 years ago. I have a doctorate in soil science. My father taught me to love gardening. My grandfather, ironically, paid for my education. It was the only thing he ever gave me. Terra Prime is not a dirt company. We do not sell bags of topsoil at a hardware store. We are a laboratory. We design bespoke soil for high-end agriculture. We analyze depleted farmland. We create custom composts that can triple a yield of specialty crops. We work with vineyards in Napa. We work with vertical farms in cities. My work is my life. I love it. I love the science. I love the smell. Yes, the smell. My lab, which is a large, clean warehouse, smells. It smells of earth, of ammonia, of decaying organic matter, of the chemical stabilizers we use. It is a rich, powerful, living smell. When I go home, I shower, I scrub, but it never fully leaves. It is in my clothes, it is in my car, it is under my nails, it is in my hair. My family hated it. When I was forced to attend family dinners, Clara would make a show of opening a window. Hey, Leo, did you come straight from the farm? Uncle Mark would offer me business advice. Leo, you're a smart kid. Why are you wasting your time with muck? Come work for me. I'll give you a desk, a real job. You can wear a tie, meet a nice, clean girl. A real job. I always declined, politely. Suit yourself, he would say, turning away. No future in filth. They did not know, they never asked. They did not know that Terra Prime had just signed a 2-year contract with a biotech firm. They did not know I had 3 full-time employees. They did not know I was turning a profit, a small one, but it was growing. They did not want to know. They wanted me to be the failure. They needed me to be the failure. It made their success feel more real. The week after the will reading, I was in my lab. I had the wooden box on my workbench. I opened it. My mother was wrong. It was not just dirt, it was perfect. The loam was black, rich, and perfectly balanced. I ran it through my spectrometer. The nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium levels were off the charts, but it was more than that. There were microbes in it I had only read about, rare bacterial strains. This soil was alive. It was a masterpiece. My grandfather, he knew, he was a gardener his whole life. This was not a joke, this was a message. I looked at the key. It was sitting next to my microscope. A simple brass key. No name, no number, just a key. A key to what? I looked back at the soil. I ran my fingers through it. It was worth a fortune. To the right person. To a scientist, to me. A gift, a real gift. But the key felt like a puzzle. My grandfather liked puzzles, he liked chess. I closed the box. I put the key in my pocket. I had a wedding to attend. The wedding invitation was a monster. It arrived in a box. It was thick, embossed cardstock, gold lettering. It probably cost more than my monthly food budget. Mark and Catherine Reynolds request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter, Clara, to Mr. James Van Der Beek. It felt like a summons. Leo, we have to go, my mother said. She was holding the invitation. She looked terrified. Mom, they hate us, I said simply. I was bagging a soil sample. They are family, Leo. Your grandfather just died. If we do not go, it will be an insult. Mark will cut us off. Cut what off? The Christmas check, the condescending phone calls. He has the money, Leo, all of it. He is the head of this family now. We have to show respect. Her voice cracked on the last word. Show respect. I looked at her tired face. She had endured 15 years of this. 15 years of being the poor widow, the sister-in-law to be pitied. And now she had her $100,000. She was afraid Mark could somehow take it away. He could not. But the fear was real. The fear he had cultivated in her for a decade and a half. Okay, Mom, I said, sealing the bag. We'll go. And Leo, she said, twisting her hands, please, the suit, the one you bought for the interview last year, it's nice. The suit, it was a simple dark blue suit, off the rack. It fit, okay? It was not Armani. It was not what they were used to. And your. I will shower, Mom. I will scrub my hands. Thank you, she whispered. She was relieved. I was not. I felt a familiar, heavy dread. I was going to walk into that ballroom. I was going to wear my cheap suit. I was going to be the single cousin, the failure, the man who inherited dirt. I felt the brass key in my pocket. It was a small, hard comfort. A puzzle I had not solved. I thought about my grandfather. I thought about him teaching me chess. Every piece has a purpose, Leo, he would say, moving a pawn. Even the small ones, especially the small ones, they just wait. I was a small piece, and I was walking into their game. We arrived at the hotel. It was not a hotel. It was a palace, marble floors, chandeliers that looked like frozen waterfalls. A string quartet was playing in the lobby. We found our table, number 28, in the back, by the swinging doors to the kitchen. The smell of garlic and hot oil wafted out every time a waiter passed. It's a lovely spot, my mother said, her voice tight. We can see everyone. We saw them, Mark, Clara, the new husband. They were at the head table on a raised platform. They looked like royalty. The dinner was served. 7 courses, food I did not recognize, tiny portions on massive plates. People laughed, people drank. The sound was a dull roar. I felt disconnected. I was watching a movie. I was not really there. I ate my food. I nodded when my mother spoke. I watched my family. I watched Clara laugh, her head thrown back, diamonds at her throat. I watched Uncle Mark move from table to table. He was the king, accepting tributes, shaking hands. He was magnanimous. He was powerful. He owned this room. He owned everyone in it. He never came to table 28. Then the speeches, the best man, the maid of honor, they told stories. They were not funny, but people laughed. And then Clara stood up. She tapped the glass. The room went silent. I want to make a special toast, she said. Her voice was high, clear. She looked right at me. Her eyes were bright, malicious. To my cousin Leo. My mother's hand found mine under the table. Her nails dug into my skin. Leo, stand up. Let everyone see you. I stood. The room was hot. My cheap suit felt like it was suffocating me. Leo is unique. She told the story, the will reading, the box of dirt. And the room laughed. It was not a small laugh. It was a tidal wave of sound. It washed over me. It pinned me to the spot. I looked at the head table. Uncle Mark was laughing. He was wiping a tear from his eye. He was so proud of her. So proud of this perfect, cruel moment. She talked about my smell, a little earthy. She raised her glass. To Leo, may you find a good woman who doesn't mind the smell. The room drank. I looked at my hands. They were clean. I had scrubbed them for 20 minutes. I had used bleach, but I could still smell it. The rich, dark, honest smell of my work. They saw filth. I saw creation. And in that moment, the shame, it fractured. It did not disappear, but it cracked, and underneath was rage, a cold, quiet, patient rage. I sat down. My mother was shaking. We are leaving, I said. My voice was low. Leo, we can't. We are leaving now. I stood up. I did not care about politeness. I did not care about family. I put my hand on my mother's back. I steered her through the tables. I did not look at anyone. We walked past the head table. Clara was watching me. Her smile was triumphant. I did not meet her eyes. I kept walking. I pushed open the doors. The cool night air hit my face. It felt clean. We walked out of the palace. We got into my car, the car that smelled faintly of ammonia and soil. My mother was silent the entire ride home. I put my hand in my pocket. The brass key was still there, heavy, cold. When I got home, I did not go to bed. I went to my small desk. I took out my grandfather's old wooden chess board. The game was on. I did not sleep. I sat in my small apartment, the box of my grandfather's soil on the kitchen table. The wedding clothes were in a pile by the door. I would burn them later. My mother was in her room. I could hear her quiet crying. The sound was a knife. I opened the box again. I ran my fingers through the soil. It was perfect, but it was just soil. What was I missing? I thought back, the will reading, the box of fertilized soil kept in my study, the brass key from my desk drawer. Two items, separate but linked. I went back to the box. I started to dig. Gently, my fingers, trained to feel the slightest change in texture, moved through the loam. Halfway down, I hit something. It was not a rock, it was flat. I pulled it out. It was a small packet wrapped in thick, oiled cloth, the kind sailors used to use. It was waterproof. My heart was not pounding, it was still. It was absolutely still. I unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a single sheet of paper, old, thick cotton paper. It was not a letter, it was not a confession. It was a list. A list of chess notations. 1 E4 E5. 2 NF3 NC6. 3 BB5 A6. 4 Ba4 NF6. 5 O B7. And so on. It was a full game, 54 moves. At the bottom, a single sentence was written in my grandfather's spiky, precise hand. The key is not for a door, it is for a box, KBC4. KBC4, King's Bishop to C4. I looked at the brass key on my table. I looked at the chess notations. My grandfather did not play random games. Every game was a lesson. I set up the board. I moved the pieces, white, black. I followed the script. 1 E4 E5. 2 NF3 NC6. It was a Rai Lopez, a classic opening, strategic, slow building, a game of positioning, a game of patience. I played out the entire game. My father's white pieces, my grandfather's black. It took an hour. I saw the patterns, the feints, the traps. The game ended in a draw, a perfectly balanced, complex draw. 54 moves. Then I looked at the final instruction, KBC4. King's Bishop C4. I looked at the board. The King's Bishop, the white bishop that starts on F1, was not on C4. In this game, it had moved to B5, then a 4, then B3. KBC4 was not a move in the game. It was a label. KBC4. I looked at the key. It was a safe deposit box key. KBC, King's Bishop, capital no. King's Bank. KBC King's Bank, then Trust. I pulled out my laptop. I searched King's Bank and Trust. It did not exist. I tried again, KBC Bank. A result, KBC Bank, a small, private European bank. It had one branch in the city, a very exclusive, very private branch, the kind of place my Uncle Mark would use. KBC, and the number 4. Number C4. KBC4. My hands were steady. I looked at the key. I looked at the address on the screen. I knew where I was going tomorrow. The lobby of KBC Bank was silent. It was not a bank. It was a private club, thick carpet, dark wood walls. A single, older woman sat at a massive desk. She looked like a hawk. I walked up. I was wearing my lab coat. I had not bothered to change. I smelled like my work. I did not care anymore. "May I help you?" Her voice was ice. She looked at my coat with disgust. "I need to access a safe deposit box," I said. "Do you have an account here, sir?" "No," I said. "My grandfather did, Arthur Reynolds." Her expression did not change, but her eyes sharpened. "Mr. Reynolds is deceased." "Yes, he left me this." I placed the brass key on the desk. She looked at it. She recognized it. "And your identification?" I gave her my driver's license. She typed for a long time. She looked at a screen I could not see. "Mr. Reynolds left. Specific instructions," she said slowly. Access is granted to the holder of this key upon presentation of identification matching the name Leo Reynolds, but only after the date of his will reading. My grandfather, he knew the timeline. "Please wait here," she said. She disappeared into a vault. I stood in the empty, silent lobby. I felt calm. The rage from the wedding was gone. It had burned down to something hard, something focused. She returned with a second key. "This way, Mr. Reynolds." She led me into the vault. The air was cold. It smelled of steel and paper. She stopped at a small, silver door. "Box C4, she said. "Not KBC4, just C4. I looked at the label, but then I looked at the rows. Row A, row B, row C, row D. And the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. My grandfather's note, KBC4. King Bishop C4. He was not giving me the bank's name. KBC was a coincidence. He was giving me the coordinates. King's file, Bishop's file, no. King Bishop. In chess, the king's file is the E file, the bishop's file, the C file. This was too complex. I looked at the woman. My grandfather's note was KBC4. The woman's thin lips twitched, a tiny, tiny smile. "Your grandfather had a specific system," she said. She walked past row C, she walked past row D, she went to a different section of the vault. A section labeled Private Reserve. She stopped at a large drawer, much larger than the others. It was labeled KB. "King's Bishop," she said. And on that drawer there was one box, C4. "He was our only client to use chess notation for his holdings," she said. "He found our standard numbering system, pedestrian." She put her key in. I put my key in. We turned them together. The large metal box slid open. "The viewing room is to your left," she said. "Take all the time you need." I pulled the box out. It was heavier than the soil. I carried it to the small, private room. I closed the door. I sat down. I opened the box. There were no gold bars, no jewels, no stacks of cash. It was full of paper. One item sat on top, a thick, worn, leather-bound ledger. I opened the ledger. The first page had a title, written in my grandfather's hand. "The second account." I turned the page. It was a balance sheet, but not for his whole estate. It was a balance sheet for one company, Greystone Capital Partners. My uncle's company, the company he just inherited. I am not an accountant, but I understand numbers. I saw dates, I saw loan amounts, I saw interest payments. My grandfather, Arthur, had been personally propping up Greystone Capital for 10 years. I saw a loan from a private lender in Zurich, due in 3 weeks, for $5 million. My grandfather had been paying the interest on it. I saw a commercial property loan. The collateral listed was a building downtown. I knew that building. It was half empty. The ledger showed its actual assessed value. It was half of what was claimed on the loan application. I saw fraud. Page after page, bad investments, inflated assets, loans taken out to pay the interest on other loans. My Uncle Mark, the genius, the king, he was not a businessman, he was a gambler, a bad one. And my grandfather had been cleaning up his messes for a decade. I turned the pages. My hands were shaking, not with fear, with revelation. Then I got to the last entry. Date, 3 months ago, the week before my grandfather went into the hospital. The entry was a transfer, a massive one. Transfer to TerraPrime Holdings LLC. Amount $2 million. Memo final seed, good luck Leo. I stopped breathing. $2 million. I looked at the page. I could not understand. I looked further back. A transfer from 2 years ago, $500,000. A transfer from 4 years ago, $250,000. The anonymous investments, the ones that saved my company, the ones that let me buy the spectrometer, the ones that let me hire my team. It was not an investment firm in Delaware. It was him. It was always him. He was my anonymous benefactor. He was funding my dirt company. I flipped back to the Greystone Capital sheet. I looked at the loan from Zurich, the $5 million. The interest payment was due last month. It was marked payment missed. My grandfather had stopped. He had stopped paying. He had stopped propping his son up. He let the first domino fall 3 months ago. He knew he was dying. He knew what was coming. The inheritance, it was not a gift to Mark, it was a punishment. He did not leave Mark a company. He left him a bomb. He left him $20 million in personal liabilities, hidden inside a company that was a hollow shell, and he had just handed Mark the keys. Mark had accepted it, willingly, eagerly. I closed the ledger. I sat in the cold, silent room. The box of dirt, the chess game, the key, the ledger. It was a map drawn by a dead man. He had been planning this for years. The humiliation at the wedding, the laughter, the smell. It all seemed so small now, so insignificant. My grandfather did not let me win at chess. He taught me to see the whole board. I looked at the ledger. I looked at my hands. The game was not over. It was my move. There was one more thing in the box, beneath the ledger, a simple white business card. Dr. Zolin Aris, Professor Emeritus Business Ethics. And a phone number. I did not recognize the name. I went back to my lab. The bank box was in my bag. I felt its weight with every step. I sat at my desk. The smell of my soil, my real work, filled the room. It smelled like safety. It smelled like sanity. I called the number. An old man's voice answered, sharp, precise. Aris. Dr. Aris, my name is Leo Reynolds. My grandfather, Arthur Reynolds, left me your card. Silent, a long, assessing silence. Arthur, he said, his voice softened. He is gone. I read the notice. My condolences, young man. Thank you, sir. I found your card in his safe deposit box. Ah, he said, the box, so you solved the chess problem. I did, I said. Good, he said you would. He said you were the only one who had the patience. Dr. Aris, what was your relationship to my grandfather? I was his friend, Aris said simply. And for the last 5 years I was his advisor, his executor of the other will, the real one. My blood went cold, the other will. The ledger, Leo, that is the will, the rest, the reading in the lawyer's office. That was theater, a trap. Did you understand the ledger? I think so, I said. My voice was rough. Greystone Capital is insolvent. Mark inherited a massive debt. He inherited a judgment, Aris corrected. Arthur was a proud man. His son, Mark, was a disgrace, a fool, a cheat. He was laundering money. He was committing fraud. Arthur could not bear the public shame, the scandal, but he could not let it stand, so he contained it. He propped him up, I said. He did, until he could move his own real money out safely, legally. He spent 5 years liquidating his personal assets, the art, the bonds, the properties Mark did not know about, and he moved that money. Where, I whispered, where did it go? Into your company, Leo, Aris said, gently. The $2.75 million. Is the seed money? Yes, the rest. The bulk of Arthur's $30 million personal fortune is sitting in an escrow account, managed by me. The account is named TerraPrime Holdings LLC. It is your company. It has been your company for 6 months. I could not speak. I looked around my lab, my $30 million lab. He wanted you to have the one thing Mark could never understand, Aris said. A real business, something that makes a thing, something with integrity. He loved that you worked with soil. He said it was the only honest thing left in the family. But why me? We were not close. He watched you, Leo. He saw you refuse to work for Mark. He saw you take the family's scorn. He saw you build your little company from nothing. He did not want to be close. He wanted to test you. He tested you your whole life. The chess games, the small humiliations. He was hardening you. He was seeing if you would break, if you would become like them. And the humiliation. The will, Aris said, was the final test, the box of dirt, the key, he told me. If he throws the dirt away, he deserves nothing. If he is curious, if he sees the value, he is my grandson. I looked at the box of soil on my bench, the perfect soil. He left Mark a single ticking bomb, Aris continued. The Zurich loan, it defaults in 7 days. When it defaults, the cross-collateral clauses in all the other loans are triggered. The entire house, it falls down. The bank will seize Greystone. They will seize the house, the lake property. They will seize Clara's wedding gifts. My God, I whispered. This was Arthur's checkmate, Leo. He dismantled his son's life and handed you the victory. The question is, what do you do now? I sat in my lab for hours. The sun went down. The automatic lights in the warehouse clicked on, bathing my equipment in a sterile white glow. I had $30 million. I had a thriving, powerful company. And my uncle, my cousin, my family, they had 7 days until they had nothing, less than nothing. They would be buried in lawsuits. Mark would likely face criminal charges. My mother came into the lab. I had not heard her arrive. She looked pale. Leo, you've been in here all night. I'm worried. I looked at her. Her face was lined with worry. Worry for me. Worry from a lifetime of being on the outside. Mom, I said, my voice was hoarse. Sit down. I told her everything. The key, the chess game. The bank, the ledger, the $30 million. She listened. She did not interrupt. Her eyes grew wide. She put her hand over her mouth. When I told her about the loans, about the trap, she did not look happy. She looked horrified. Arthur, he did that to his own son. Mark was committing fraud, Mom. He was destroying the family name. Grandfather just let him. He destroyed him, Leo. He is going to ruin him. He ruined himself, I said. The coldness was back. He laughed, Mom. He laughed at me. Clara laughed at me. They laughed at you. I know, she whispered. She looked at her hands. It was awful what they did at the wedding. It was the cruelest thing I have ever seen. She looked up. Her eyes were full of a terrible, complex pain. So what are you going to do? The question, the one Dr. Aris asked. What do you mean? I asked. Are you just going to let it happen, let them burn? They deserve it. The words felt strange in my mouth. Did anyone deserve total annihilation? Mark is your uncle, Leo. Clara is your cousin. This is not a game. It was always a game to him, I said, pointing at the ledger. A game he was losing, and grandfather just ended it. Your grandfather was a cold man, she said. A cruel man in his own way. He is pitting you against each other, even from the grave. Don't let him, Leo. Don't become him. I stood up. I walked to the window. I looked out at the dark parking lot. He humiliated you, Mom, for 15 years. He made you beg for scraps. He made you feel small. And his daughter made you cry in front of 300 people. I know, she said. Her voice was stronger now. And I hate them for it, I do, but if you do this, if you let them be destroyed, how are you different from them, using power to crush someone? That's their move, Leo, not yours. I turned to face her. So what do you suggest? I give them the $30 million. I pay off the bad loans. I save Uncle Mark so he can go back to laughing at me. No, she said, standing up. No, not that, but there must be another way, a way. That is your way, not Arthur's, not Mark's, yours. She was right. My grandfather had given me the victory, but my mother was asking me what victory looked like. Was it watching them burn, or was it something else? The coldness in my chest, it was not rage, it was power, and power gives you options. I need to make a phone call, I said. I did not call Dr. Aris. I did not call a lawyer. I called my Uncle Mark. I found his number online, the private line I dialed. He picked up on the second ring. Mark Reynolds, his voice was sharp, annoyed. Uncle Mark, it's Leo. A heavy sigh on the other end. Leo, what is it? I'm busy. I need to see you, I said. See me? What about? Look, if this is about the wedding, Clara was. She was just having fun, a little tipsy. Don't be so sensitive. He did not apologize. He would never apologize. It is not about the wedding, I said. My voice was flat. It's about a loan from Zurich. The silence on the other end of the line was profound. It was a vacuum. I could hear his breathing, fast, shallow. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered. The $5 million loan. The one your father stopped paying the interest on. The one that defaults in 7 days. How, he whispered, how do you know that? Grandfather left me a few things, I said. The dirt, the key, and his second account ledger. I heard a sound, a choke or a sob. You have that. I do. I see the building you used as collateral, the one in the old district. I see its real valuation. I see the wire transfers. I see it all, Mark. Leo, his voice was different. It was not the king. It was a small, terrified man. Leo, you have to help me, please. This is a misunderstanding. Your grandfather, he was sick. He forgot to make the payment. It's a simple mistake. He did not forget, I said. He stopped. He let it default. He's been planning this for years. No, he wouldn't. He did. Another terrible, broken silence. What do you want? He finally asked. I want to meet, I said. You, me, and Clara. Clara, what does she have to do with this? She was at the will reading. She's part of the family business. She laughed the loudest. She needs to be there. Leo, please, don't do this to her. She's a newlywed. She just may meet with me. You and Clara, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Where? At my office. I looked around my lab, the steel tables, the bags of compost, the clean concrete floor. No, I said, not your office, the wedding hall, the ballroom. What? Why? It's closed. I will call the hotel. I will book it. I will pay for it. I have the money, Uncle. I have all the money. Terra Prime is worth $30 million. I heard the sound of a glass breaking. He had dropped his phone, or a drink. I heard fumbling. Leo, he said. His voice was a thin, reedy thing. Leo, I will be there, will be there. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, and Mark, wear a nice suit. I hung up. I looked at my mother. Her face was white. Leo. It's my move, Mom, I said. My way. The ballroom was different. It was vast, empty, dark. The hotel staff had set up one table, in the dead center of the room, the same spot where the dance floor had been, the same spot where Clara had laughed. They put a white tablecloth on it, 3 chairs, a pitcher of water. My mother was with me. She refused to wait in the car. I am seeing this through, she said. She was not the meek woman from the wedding. She was solid. She sat in a chair against the far wall, in the shadows. I stood by the table. I was not wearing a suit. I was wearing my work clothes, my clean pressed Terra Prime khakis, my company polo shirt. I had washed my hands, but I had not scrubbed them. I smelled like me. I smelled like my work. I placed the heavy ledger on the table. At 8:03 the doors opened. Mark and Clara came in. They looked terrible. Mark's expensive suit was wrinkled. His face was gray. He looked 20 years older. Clara was not the beautiful bride. Her makeup was smeared. Her eyes were red and puffy. She was clinging to her father's arm. She was terrified. They walked across the massive, empty floor. The sound of their footsteps echoed. They stopped at the table. They looked at me. They looked at the ledger. Sit down, I said. They sat. Clara was shaking. What is this, Leo? Mark tried. He tried to find his old voice, the voice of command. What game are you playing? This, I said, is a family meeting, the one we should have had 15 years ago. I opened the ledger. I turned it so he could see it. This is your life, uncle. This is the truth. I pointed to the Zurich loan. This is the bomb. 7 days when this goes. Everything goes, the house, the lake house, your cars, Clara's wedding gifts. The bank will take everything. They will find the fraud. You will go to prison. Clara made a sound, a small animal sound. No, Mark whispered. Number Leo, you can fix this, you said. $30 million, you can. You can pay this, we can make a deal, I'll make you a partner 50-50. Greystone Capital, you and me. He was bargaining, he was desperate. I looked at him for a full 10 seconds, I just looked. 50-50, I said. Of what? A $20 million debt, a criminal investigation. I can fix it with capital, I can turn it around. There is nothing to turn around, Mark. It's over. Your company is a ghost, it has been for years. Grandfather was just paying the bills, and now, I am the one holding the bills. Clara started to cry, not pretty tears, ugly, racking sobs. Please, Leo, please, she wept. We will pay you back. I'll get a job, James, my husband, his family has. His family signed a prenup, I said. I know. Grandfather had a copy. They are protected from your family's debt. Your husband is protected from you. He will be gone in a month. Her face crumpled. She knew it was true. The silence returned, just her sobbing. This is not a negotiation, I said. This is a reckoning. Mark stared at the ledger. He was a broken man. He was seeing the numbers. He was seeing the truth. Why, he whispered, why would he do this, his own son? You tell me, Mark, I said. You're the one who cooked the books. You're the one who faked the collateral. He just stopped covering for you. He gave his real money to me, to the dirt company. The dirt, he said. He looked at his hands. It was always the dirt. I let them sit in it for a long, long minute. The humiliation, the fear, the end of their world. It was satisfying. The cold part of me enjoyed it. I saw Clara's face. I saw her toast. I saw her wave her hand at my smell, and I felt good. Then I saw my mother in the shadows, watching me. Her face was not triumphant. It was sad. She was sad for them. She was sad for me. She was right. This was my grandfather's move. This was his cold, cruel checkmate. I needed to make my own. I closed the ledger. The sound was loud in the empty room. They both flinched. I am not going to save Greystone Capital, I said. It deserves to die. The banks can have the shell. Leo, no, Mark begged. Prison, they will, Leo, please. I said I won't save the company, I said. I did not say I would let you go to prison. He looked up, a tiny, desperate spark in his dead eyes. What? I will pay the Zurich loan, I said. Clara gasped. Mark looked like he would faint. I will pay the $5 million from my company, from Terra Prime. It will stop the immediate default. It will stop the cross-collateral trigger. It will keep the other banks from digging. For now. Thank you, Mark wept. He reached across the table. Leo, God, thank you. I knew, family. I put my hand up. I am not finished. He stopped. This is not a gift. It is a purchase. I am buying your debt, all of it. The $5 million, the $15 million in other bad loans. I am setting up a new holding company, and I will be your sole creditor. You will not owe the banks. You will owe me. He did not understand. What does that mean? It means I own you, Mark. It means I own this house, this lake house, this car. It means if you displease me, I take it all, not a bank, me. Clara looked horrified. You would do that. I am doing it, I said. This is the deal. I stop the bomb. I keep you out of prison. In exchange, I own your debt, all of it. Yes, Mark said instantly. Yes, anything, whatever you want. Good, I said. Because there is one more thing, my terms of payment. I reached into my bag. I pulled out 2 items. I placed them on the table. 2 crisp new employee application forms for Terra Prime, and 2 dark green, heavy-duty work uniforms. Mark stared at the uniforms. Clara stared at the applications. What is this?" Clara whispered. Her voice was full of revulsion. "That," I said, "is your new life. You owe me $20 million. I do not expect you to pay it back, not in money. You will work it off." "Work," Mark said. He picked up the application. "Work for you in your factory." "My laboratory," I corrected. "Yes, you will both work for me full-time starting Monday." "Leo, this is insane," Mark said. He was trying to find his anger. This is humiliation." "Yes," I said, "it is." I leaned forward. My voice was quiet. "You laughed at me. You laughed at my work. You called it filth. You said I smelled. You, Clara, you stood up in front of 300 people, and you tried to break me. You tried to break my mother for fun." Clara flinched. She could not meet my eyes. "This is the reality," I said. "That filth is the only thing standing between you and a jail cell. That smell is the smell of my success, a success my grandfather recognized, and a success you will now contribute to." What would we even do?" Clara asked. Her voice was small. "Mark," I said, "you are good with numbers, bad at ethics, but good with numbers. You will work in my logistics department. You will manage inventory. You will count bags of compost. You will track shipping. Your starting salary is $40,000 a year. You will punch a clock." 40? He looked devastated. It was probably his monthly allowance. "And you, Clara?" I said. She looked at me, terrified. "You are good with people. You are a good hostess. You will clean. You will clean the lab. You will clean the offices. You will clean the bathrooms. And you will make coffee for my real employees. Your salary is $30,000 a year." "Clean bathrooms," she whispered. "Yes, and you will wear the uniform, both of you. And you will be on time, and you will be polite, and you will work. For the first time in your lives, you will do real work." "And in the house?" Mark asked. "You will sell the house. You will sell the lake house. You will sell the cars. You will pay down your debt to me. You will move into a small apartment, an apartment you can afford on your new salaries." This was the real blow, not the work, the loss of status, the loss of the image. "You are destroying us," Mark said. "No," I said. I stood up. "I am saving you. This is the only way. You wanted a real job, uncle. Here it is. You wanted me to be family. I am the head of the family now, and I am giving you a chance to pay for what you did, a chance to learn." I pushed the applications toward them. "My lawyer will have the debt transfer paperwork ready tomorrow. You will sign it, or I will let the Zurich loan default. The choice is yours, prison or compost." I looked at Clara. "The smell, you get used to it." I turned, I walked away. My mother stood up from her dark corner. She met me at the door. She looked at my face. She looked at the 2 broken people at the table. She took my hand. She did not say a word. We walked out of the ballroom together. The big doors boomed shut behind us. Monday morning, 7:00 a.m. My lab was already busy. My 3 employees, my team, they were running diagnostics. They are good people. Maria, my lead chemist, Ben and Sam, the lab techs. I had told them I had to. I told them I was hiring 2 new apprentices. I told them who they were. I told them, not the whole story, but enough. I told them they were family, that they were in trouble, that this was a new start. My team, they are better people than I am. They just nodded. "Okay, boss, we'll show 'em the ropes." At 7:30, a taxi pulled up. Not a town car, a yellow taxi. Mark and Clara got out. They were wearing the uniforms, dark green, stiff, new. They looked diminished, small. Mark was carrying a metal lunchbox. Clara looked like she had been crying all weekend. They walked into the lab, the smell hit them, the rich, powerful smell of earth and ammonia. Clara flinched, Mark just absorbed it. "Good morning," I said. I was at my desk. I was drinking coffee. "You're early, I like that." They did not speak. "Maria," I called. "This is Mark. He'll be with you in logistics. Show him how we inventory the potash bags." Maria, a tiny, tough woman in her 50s, nodded. "This way, Mark. Steel-toed boots are required. They are in the locker room. Your locker is number 12. Mark looked at me. One last desperate appeal. I just sipped my coffee. He turned, he followed Maria. "Clara," I said. She jumped. "Ben Sam, this is Clara. She will be handling sanitation and supplies." Ben, a young guy with a kind face, smiled. "Welcome, Clara. The supply closet is over here. I can show you how the industrial coffee maker works. It's tricky." "Thank you," she whispered. She followed him. I sat at my desk. I watched them. Mark, he was trying. Maria was showing him the inventory gun. He was listening. He was nodding. "Clara," Ben showed her the coffee. Then he pointed to the mop sink. He handed her a pair of yellow gloves. Her face, it was a mask of pure distilled horror. She looked at the gloves. She looked at the bathroom door. She looked at me. I raised my coffee mug, a small toast. She put on the gloves. She picked up the mop. She went into the bathroom. I turned back to my computer. I had work to do. The first month was hard for them. Clara cried every day in the bathroom, in the break room, but she did the work. The floors were clean. The coffee was made. Mark was different. He was quiet. He learned the inventory system. He found a mistake, a big one, a shipping error that was costing us $10,000 a month. He came to my office. He held the printout. "Leo," he said, his voice was professional, "I found a discrepancy in the freight manifests." He showed me. He was right. "Good work, Mark," I said. "Fix it." He nodded. "I will." He turned to leave. "Mark," I said. He stopped. "You're good at this." He looked at me. He did not know what to say. "It's numbers," he said. "It's just finding the pattern." "Yes," I said, "it is." He left. Clara, she started, talking to Maria. Maria, who had raised 3 kids on her own. Maria, who had worked 2 jobs. I overheard them in the break room. Clara was complaining about her apartment, how small it was. "At least you have a roof," Maria said, not unkindly. "I slept in my car for 6 months after my husband left." Clara went silent. The next day, Clara brought donuts for the team. It was a start. My mother came by. She brought lunch for everyone. She saw Mark on a forklift. She saw Clara scrubbing a beaker. She came to me. "Are you okay, Leo?" she asked. "I'm good, Mom," I said. "The new contracts are solid." "That is not what I mean." She looked at Mark. "He looks tired." "He is tired, Mom. He works 10 hours a day. It's real work." "And you," she asked, is this enough? The revenge, is it done?" I looked at them. Mark counting bags, Clara wiping a counter. They were not the monsters from the wedding. They were just 2 people in uniforms. The cold, hard thing in my chest, it was not gone, but it was smaller. "I don't know, Mom," I said. "I really don't." Clara's husband, James, filed for divorce, just as I predicted. The prenup was ironclad. He was not responsible for her family's debts. He left. He went back to his own wealthy family. Clara missed a day of work. I let it slide. She came back the next day. Her eyes were swollen, but she was in her uniform. She went to the supply closet. She got the mop. I stopped her. "Clara," I said. She looked at me. She was expecting me to be cruel, to gloat. "I'm sorry," I said. Her face crumpled. He He didn't even say goodbye, he just had his lawyer call. He's a fool, I said. She looked confused. You told me this would happen. I did, it did not make it right. Go, take the day, go home. No, she said, she held the mop tighter. I need to work, I have to, I get paid on Friday, I have rent. She had rent. She needed the job, not because I was forcing her, but because she needed the $30,000 a year. It was real. She went back to work. I felt something, not pity, not satisfaction. Respect, a tiny, microscopic grain of it. She was still standing. After her entire world had been burned to the ground, she was still standing. 6 months passed. Terra Prime was expanding. We had to. The $30 million was not just money. It was rocket fuel. We were buying competitors. We were developing new products. I needed a manager, a real chief operating officer. Mark, he had changed. He had lost 30 pounds. The arrogance was gone. He was quiet, efficient. He ran my logistics. He ran them perfectly. He had saved the company, my company, hundreds of thousands of dollars. He had paid a dividend. He was valuable. I called him into my office. Sit down, Mark. He sat. He still looked like a man expecting a blow. I'm promoting you, I said. He stared. What? I'm promoting you to Chief Operating Officer. Your new salary is $150,000 a year. You have earned it. He did not speak. His mouth opened, closed. He started to cry. Not the broken sobs of the ballroom. Quiet, heavy tears. Leo, I don't. Why? Because you're good at the job, Mark. Because you did the work. Because you are a good employee. I treated you. I know, I said. We are not. They're not family, not forgiven, but this is business, and you are good for business. He nodded. He wiped his face. Thank you, Leo. I will not let you down. I know you won't, I said. You can't afford to. I still own your debt. A flicker, a ghost of the old fear. Yes, I know. But Mark, I said, I am restructuring your debt. Your new salary, half of it, goes to me to pay what you owe. The other half, $75,000, is yours to live on. You are earning your way out. He looked hopeful for the first time. Now, I said, we have a problem with the shipping routes to California. I need you to fix it. He nodded. He stood up. He was taller. I'm on it, he said. He left. My grandfather's checkmate. It was complex. He had not just given me the win. He had given me all the pieces. He had given me a broken king, a broken queen. And he had left it to me to decide what to do with them. Another 6 months, a year. I was at my grandfather's grave. I had not been back since the funeral. I brought the wooden box, the soil. I had kept it. I had used it. I had propagated the rare microbes. They were now part of my most exclusive product line, the Arthur's Gold line. It was my grandfather's real legacy, not the money, not the fraud. The dirt. I sat on the grass. The air was cool. I did it, I whispered to the stone. It's done. Clara, she was still with me. She was not cleaning bathrooms. She was my assistant, my executive assistant. She was terrifyingly organized. She ran my schedule. She ran my life. She was good at it. She was taking night classes, business administration. She was different, quiet, humble. She still brought donuts every Friday. Mark, he was my COO. He was relentless. He worked 12 hours a day. He was paying his debt. In 20 years, he would be free. He knew it. He worked. My mother, she was happy. She had her $100,000, but she was on the board of Terra Prime. My mother, Elena, she had a voice, and she was smart. She saw things I did not. We were a family, a strange, broken new family. We did not do holidays, we worked. I looked at the stone. Was this what you wanted? I asked him. Was this the game? The wind moved through the trees. No answer. I think he did not have an end game. He just put the pieces in play. He put me in play. He gave me the power. My mother was right. The test was not winning. The test was what I did with the win. I did not become him. I did not become Mark. I became me. We had a dinner last week. My mother, me, Mark, Clara. Not at a palace, at my apartment, my small apartment. My mother cooked. Mark and Clara, they helped, they set the table. We ate. It was quiet. The new contracts are good, Mark said. The West Coast expansion, it is solid. Good, I said, that's good. Leo, Clara said. She looked at me. My business class, we are studying ethics, corporate ethics. I just looked at her. Oh. I wrote a paper, she said. She was nervous about corporate responsibility, about second chances. I'd like to read it, I said. She smiled, a real one, not the bright, cruel thing from the wedding, a small, tired, real smile. Okay, she said. After dinner, Mark cleared the table, Clara washed the dishes. My mother and I sat. You are a good man, Leo, she whispered. I'm just a man, Mom. Your father, he would be so proud. I looked at my hands. They were clean, but the smell, it was still there. Under my nails, in my skin. The smell of earth, the smell of my life. The smell of my strength. My family, they see it differently now. When they smell the dirt, they do not smell a joke. They smell redemption. They smell the man who holds their debt. They smell the man who saved them. Revenge, it's a complicated thing. You can win, you can destroy your enemy. But the real power, the real checkmate is when you win and you don't destroy them. You remake them, you own them. And maybe, just maybe, you save them. That is a cold, hard victory. And it is mine. He looks at the audience. He holds up his hands. He looks at them. The hardest thing is setting boundaries, especially with family. My grandfather, he set his. From the grave, I set mine in that ballroom. Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with your family? A boundary about money or respect? How did it turn out? Let me know.